My parents are very difficult human beings. I love them, but they have a lot of toxic traits. A year ago, we moved to a city that is about a 2.5-hour drive away because we couldn't handle the constant nagging and attempts to control my husband's and my life. I love our new city. I have made new friends and just enjoy being here. We have a 2-year-old, so we go on playdates and have our own schedule. He also goes to daycare. My in-laws all live in another country, so my husband visits them once in a while without us. In the summer, we go as a family and stay for 2 weeks. My husband is going to visit his family for about a week. My mom called me a few days ago and asked me about my plans for that week. I was taken aback since I didn't intend to visit them during that time and asked her what she meant. She sounded a little upset and said she assumed we would stay with my parents while my husband was gone. I told her I didn't plan on doing that, but that I would think about it. The other night, she called again and asked, "So when should we come to pick you up on Friday?" We don't have a car, so we usually take the train when we visit them. I asked her where I was going that I needed a ride, and the inevitable happened, and we got into an argument. She accused me of keeping their grandson from them and being selfish and inconsiderate because they miss him and want to see him. I told them they were free to visit any time, but that I'm no longer a child and that I can make my own decisions. My reasons for not wanting to go are as follows. 1. I'm not that close to my parents. We saw them a couple of weeks ago for 3 days. 2. My life is here now. I work remotely, but all my equipment and everything I need is here. 3. They have a cat that my son gets extremely attached to, and he'll be very sad and cry for days because he misses her. 4. I enjoy having some time to myself. I told her all of the above and more, but she refused to understand my point of view. So I just told her she shouldn't bother calling me about this again, let alone show up here, and I hung up. She texted me saying I was acting like a brat and I should be embarrassed with myself. So am I the jerk? Update. The past few days have been a little overwhelming for me. Firstly, I never thought my post would receive so much attention. Thank you to everyone who has taken the time to comment and reassure me that I am not the jerk. My dad called me yesterday, but I couldn't pick up because I was working, so I texted him saying I was busy. He texted me back, "Dad, I just wanted to talk about your little outburst with Mom the other day. She is very upset and has been crying a lot. She feels that you are disrespectful and inconsiderate. You should call her and apologize. We are really looking forward to spending the week with you and Ethan. Please be reasonable and just tell your mom that you are going to stay here and all will be well." Me. I wasn't being disrespectful. Also, there is absolutely no need to cry over the fact that I am not coming to visit you for the week. Both of you should accept the fact that I am an adult and I make my own decisions. I was going to say that you are welcome to come on Saturday and spend the day with Ethan and me, but since you are acting so unreasonable, I am no longer interested in spending the day with you. Also, I will not be calling her to apologize. It should be the other way around because I did nothing wrong. All will not be well until you both see how wrong you are. Please do not disturb my peace with this anymore, and do not call again. I will call you whenever I feel ready. After my text, Dad called 3 times. Mom called 5 times. My mom texted me saying, "Zoe, pick up. You can't just ignore your parents like this. Stop acting like a child." I texted them both the same message. "Stop harassing me with calls and texts. I am not a child anymore. If you don't stop, you will not see me nor Ethan for a long time. Don't bother showing up here on Friday or any other day since I won't be home. I tried to be civil with you, but you are leaving me no other choice. I will call /text/visit when I am ready and want to, not when you demand it. Good day." That's it. My mom tried to call me a bunch of times after that, but they have not texted me again. I feel like I was harsh. I've never stood up for myself like this, but I feel like it was necessary. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Why entertain such BS? Let her ramble, then be firm. Realize that she believes that her theatrics will get her what she wants. The more you engage with the theatrics, the more she'll think that she just needs to do more. Be prepared to just let her go off, then be boringly firm. Don't give details for her to debate. The decision is simple. It doesn't need explanation or justification. Guilt trips aren't fun. Don't go for the guilt trip. Not the idiot. Comment 2. Not the idiot mom doesn't see you as an adult and is trying to control you. I'd block her until your husband returns from his trip. If she shows up at your door, don't open it. She sounds incredibly toxic. Don't be afraid to threaten to call the police if she shows up, because that would be a step up in harassment and abuse. If she still refuses to leave, call the police and let them deal with her. Now for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for reading my update. A lot has happened in the past 2 weeks since my last post. After my firm text to my parents, they didn't contact me for a few days. I thought they had finally understood my point and were giving me some space. However, on Friday, the day my husband left for his trip, I received a surprise visit from my mom. She showed up at my door unannounced, expecting me to let her in and stay with her for the week. I was shocked and frustrated that she had completely disregarded my clear messages. I calmly explained to her once again that I had no intention of staying with them and that her unexpected visit was not appreciated. She got upset and started crying, accusing me of being a terrible daughter and depriving them of their grandson. In the heat of the moment, I made a mistake. I told her that if she couldn't respect my boundaries, she wouldn't be seeing Ethan at all. I immediately regretted saying that, as I never intended to use my son as a bargaining chip. My mom left in tears, and I felt guilty for handling the situation poorly. Over the next few days, I reflected on my relationship with my parents. I realized that I had been enabling their controlling behavior for years by not setting clear boundaries. I decided it was time to have an honest conversation with them. I invited them over for dinner the following weekend. During the meal, I apologized for my harsh words and explained that I never meant to keep Ethan from them. However, I also firmly stated that I needed them to respect my decisions as an adult and to stop trying to control my life. To my surprise, they actually listened. My dad admitted that they had been struggling to adjust to me living further away and that they were afraid of losing their connection with me and Ethan. My mom apologized for her behavior and acknowledged that she had been overstepping. We had a long, heartfelt discussion about our family dynamics and the importance of mutual respect. I shared some childhood memories where I had felt suffocated by their overbearing nature, and they were surprised to hear how their actions had affected me. It wasn't an easy conversation, but it was a necessary one. We agreed to work on our communication and to set healthier boundaries moving forward. They promised to give me more space and to ask before making plans involving me or Ethan. Since then, things have been better. They've been more respectful of my time and decisions, and I've made an effort to keep them updated on our lives. We've even planned a weekend trip together next month on our own terms. Looking back, I realized that my initial post only scratched the surface of our complex family dynamics. My parents' controlling behavior stems from their own insecurities and fears, and it will take time and effort from all of us to break those patterns. I'm grateful for the support and advice I received from this community. It gave me the courage to stand up for myself and to have the difficult conversations necessary for growth. While I wish I had handled some things differently, I'm proud of the progress we've made as a family. Thank you for reading and for being a part of my journey. Until next time, take care. Am I the idiot for not wanting my dad to walk me down the aisle after he rejected my same-sex relationship? I just found out my dad does not want to walk me down the aisle. My partner and I have been together for 5+ years. I thought my dad and I got along great. My dad says he is supportive of our relationship. I'm gay, but he's never been openly proud about it. I've never asked him to be vocal in his support for me, but I have expected him to just be accepting of me. My partner and I are both very feminine, and it's always felt like he's just been tolerant because we appear straight but never supportive, which hurts because he's not a religious man. He claims he is just old-fashioned, and I think his problem is that he's painted a picture of how my life should have gone, and that's what is holding him back. The rest of my family loves her like she's already part of the family. He treats her well, but I can tell he's uncomfortable if we engage in public displays of affection, PDA. Yesterday, he told me he was voting red this year, and all I said was that my vote would cancel his out. I tried to keep it lighthearted. Then he asked me to explain my vote, and I just stated that I want to get married in the next couple of years, and honestly, I'm scared of the possibility of same-sex marriage getting overturned. He nodded at the very real possibility and said he understood, and that was my right to be concerned, and I said, I guess yours too, if you want to walk me down the aisle. As I mentioned before, he thinks of himself as old-fashioned. I am his only daughter, and I know he's thought about walking me down the aisle in our first dance. When I was younger, he told me what song he wanted for our dance. Back to yesterday, he told me that I put him on the spot by asking, "Don't you want to walk me down the aisle?" in front of my older 28 brother and him. So taken aback, I asked what he meant. Then he said that he loves me and he'd die for me. But I'm asking him to go against his beliefs. I did not know he even had those beliefs. I was hurt, so I just said that I'm sure my brother wouldn't leave me to walk down the aisle alone. I think my brother was also taken aback by all this. He could hear the hurt in my voice. He's incredibly liberal and supportive of me, but he remained quiet in the conversation, which also hurt. Alcohol was involved in this conversation. But how am I supposed to take this? I am heartbroken, but glad, I guess. I don't want someone who hates my sexuality more than they love me to walk with me. Honestly, I just assumed that he would walk me. I didn't know you'd have to ask your dad that. My dad will just be there in the front row watching me walk without him, then watching my partner's father with her. I feel like I'll have to walk alone, and hopefully, everyone just thinks I chose to walk by myself. My mom will try to convince him to walk with me, but the damage is done. If it's not an automatic yes, then I don't want to wait around for an answer. I also don't want anyone with secret animosity towards my sexuality there with us. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. I also don't want anyone with secret animosity towards my sexuality there with us. It sounds like he has expressed his animosity multiple times, and not secretly. We all know what old-fashioned is a dog whistle for. Any decision you make regarding him is legitimate, wedding or otherwise. But pretending that you don't see who he is will not help you in the long run. Not the idiot. Comment 2. Not the idiot. My late father was conservative himself, but he damn well showed up to support my sister, though not walk her, as it was a civil union ceremony, on her wedding day to my sister-in-law. I am only half joking that we would have had to check to see if there was a suspicious hump in the backyard if he hadn't. My mother can be scary when she wants to be. Now, for the update. Hey everyone, it's been about 3 months since my last post, and I wanted to give you all an update on what's been happening. First off, thank you for all the support and kind words you shared after my initial post. It really meant a lot to me during such a difficult time. So here's what's been going on. After that conversation with my dad, things were pretty tense between us. We didn't really talk much, and when we did, it was just small talk. I was still hurt by his words and his reluctance to walk me down the aisle. My mom tried to talk to him about it, but he just kept saying that he needed time to think things through. A few weeks later, my partner and I decided to start planning our wedding. We figured that even if my dad wasn't going to be a part of it, we still wanted to celebrate our love with our friends and family. We started looking at venues and making a guest list, and it was actually really exciting. But then something happened that I never saw coming. My brother, who had been quiet during that initial conversation with my dad, decided to confront him about his attitude towards my sexuality. He told my dad that he was being selfish and that he needed to put his love for me above his own beliefs. I wasn't there for the conversation, but my brother told me about it afterwards. Apparently, my dad got really defensive and started yelling at my brother, saying that he had no right to tell him how to feel or what to believe. My brother stood his ground, though, and told my dad that if he couldn't accept me for who I am, then he didn't deserve to be a part of my life. I was shocked when I heard about this. I had no idea that my brother felt so strongly about the situation, and I was touched that he was willing to stand up for me like that. But at the same time, I was worried about what this would mean for our family. I didn't want to be the cause of a rift between my dad and my brother. Things were pretty tense for a while after that. My dad stopped coming to family dinners and events, and my mom was really upset about the whole thing. She kept trying to get my dad to talk to me, but he just wouldn't budge. And then about a month ago, something else happened that made things even worse. My partner and I were out at a restaurant, holding hands and just enjoying each other's company. We weren't doing anything inappropriate, just being affectionate with each other. But apparently someone saw us and decided to tell my dad about it. When my dad found out, he lost it. He called me up and started yelling at me, saying that I was embarrassing him and that I needed to stop flaunting my sexuality in public. I was so hurt and angry that I just hung up on him. I couldn't believe that he would say something like that to me. After that, I pretty much stopped talking to my dad altogether. I just couldn't deal with his negativity and his inability to accept me for who I am. My mom was really upset about the whole thing, but she understood why I needed to distance myself from him. As for the wedding planning, it's been going well. We found a venue that we love, and we've started sending out invitations. My brother has been really supportive throughout the whole process, and he's even offered to walk me down the aisle. I'm so grateful to have him in my life. But even with all the excitement of the wedding, I can't help but feel a sense of sadness about the situation with my dad. I always thought that he would be there for me on my big day, and it hurts to know that he won't be. I've tried to come to terms with it, but it's still hard. Looking back, I realize that I made a mistake in assuming that my dad would automatically be okay with walking me down the aisle. I should have had a conversation with him about it beforehand, instead of just springing it on him like that. Maybe if I had approached the situation differently, things wouldn't have gotten so out of hand. But at the same time, I know that I can't change who I am or who I love just to make my dad happy. I have to be true to myself, even if it means losing his support. It's a hard reality to face, but it's one that I'm learning to accept. Anyway, that's pretty much where things stand right now. I'm trying to focus on the positive and look forward to my wedding day, even if it won't be exactly how I always imagined it. Thank you all again for your support and for listening to my story. It means more than you know. Am I the idiot for snatching the apartment we all loved, then inviting my friends to crash there after they got mad? Hey guys, first post on here. I'm 29 years old, and after an awful 5-year breakup, I moved back in with my parents a year ago. It's been really tough living back at home, and I've wanted to get my own place, but apartment prices are super expensive in my area. I have 2 close friends who were also looking for a new apartment because their current place is too expensive for them to save money, so we agreed to look for one together. Throughout the process, I've urged them to also keep their eyes open for a place that would suit the 2 of them. They're a couple, and to do what's best for them, even if it means getting a place without me. I'd never want them to feel trapped by our agreement or pass up a good opportunity because of me. 2 days ago, we viewed a 2-bedroom, 1-bath apartment. We all liked it, but once I got home and the initial excitement faded, it hit me how small the place was and how hard it would be to have privacy and sleep well. I go to bed early because I work at a school, and they like to stay up later playing games. And the living room and bathroom are so close to both bedrooms, it seemed too small for all 3 of us and their cat. So I texted them that night to say, "I'm sorry, but I think this place is too small for us." They then said that they'd find a place for just the 2 of them, since we couldn't seem to agree on a place that suited all 3 of our needs, which I agreed to. That afternoon, though, when I went to the property manager's office to tell her that the apartment was too small for all of us, I told her to keep me in mind if anything else opened up, and she surprised me by offering the apartment to just me if I wanted it, since I had put down a deposit already. The deposit was mine. I didn't ask my friends to help with it, which I didn't mind doing because I make a bit more money than they do. I crunched the numbers and realized that I could afford it on my own. I quickly reached out to my friends to ask for their blessing because I'd love to have this apartment, but I told them that I'd never want it to hurt our friendship. They seem really annoyed with me now, but I've been miserable living with my parents since my big breakup, and this apartment is a perfect opportunity for me. The location makes my work commute way easier, and it's right down the street from the gym I go to every day. I should also mention that I was getting anxious about living with these friends because we have very different philosophies on cleaning and decorating, and I was afraid that I would have to argue with them about those things. I didn't want this to hurt our friendship, but I think it has anyway. Taking this apartment is the right move for me, and although it's a complicated situation, I was hoping that my friends would be understanding and supportive. I've told them that I care about them and value our friendship, and I've tried to explain my position as well as I can, but they stopped replying to my messages, and I don't know what to do. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. I'm gonna say a gentle "you're the idiot," not because you got a place you like for yourself, that's great, but because I took it as your friends were happy with the decision of staying there, you changed your mind and then got the place on your own. Maybe they felt misled a bit in the fact that they wanted to move in, you all agreed, and after it was all done, you went back and left them on their own. Sometimes that upsets people a bit. Another thing that makes me feel this way was their reply of, "We can't seem to agree on a place that suited all three of our needs," which sounds like it's not because they want to get a place on their own, but because you changed your mind. I'm sure they'll be fine. Just communicate with them more. Edit, spelling. Comment 2. Not the idiot. Sounds like living with these people would have destroyed your friendship anyway. You don't seem to be at all compatible in lifestyle or philosophies. Let them cool down and get their own place, and then thank them. Really thank them. Because it seems that apartment hunting with them gave you the impetus to finally move out of your parents' place and start the next chapter of your life. It sounds like you wouldn't have even seen this place if it wasn't for them. Give them a really nice housewarming gift, or amazing chocolates, or a fancy bottle of champagne, because they are good friends who helped you, even if inadvertently. Edited because inadvertently isn't a word. Now for the update. Hey everyone, it's been a week since my last post and a lot has happened. First off, I want to thank you all for your support and advice. It really means a lot to me. So after I took the apartment for myself, things got pretty tense with my friends. They stopped responding to my messages and wouldn't answer my calls. I felt terrible about the whole situation, but I knew that taking the apartment was the right decision for me. A few days later, I ran into them at the gym. It was awkward at first, but we ended up talking things out. They told me that they were hurt and felt like I had gone behind their backs. I apologized and explained that I never meant to hurt them. I told them how much our friendship means to me and that I would never want to jeopardize that. We had a long conversation about everything that had happened. I found out that they had been struggling financially more than I realized. They were really counting on splitting the rent 3 ways to make ends meet. I felt awful for not considering their situation more carefully. As we talked, I remembered how much these two had been there for me during my breakup. They were the ones who helped me move out of my ex's place and into my parents' house. They listened to me cry and vent for hours on end. They even took me on a weekend getaway to help me clear my head. I realized that I had been so focused on my own needs and wants that I had forgotten about the people who had been there for me when I needed them most. I knew I had to make things right, so I made them an offer. I told them that they could move into the apartment with me for a few months while they got back on their feet. I would cover the rent, and they could focus on saving up for a place of their own. They were hesitant at first, but eventually they agreed. Moving day was a bit chaotic, but we managed to get everything settled. It's been a few days now, and things are going well. We've been having movie nights and cooking dinners together. It feels like old times. But living together has also brought up some old issues. Remember how I mentioned that we have different philosophies on cleaning and decorating? Well, that's definitely been a challenge. I'm a bit of a neat freak, and they're more laid back about that stuff. We've had a few arguments about dishes in the sink and clothes on the floor, but we've been working on communicating better and finding compromises. It's not always easy, but we're making progress. Living with my friends has also made me realize how much I value my alone time. I'm used to having my own space, and it's been an adjustment to share everything. But I'm learning to carve out time for myself, whether it's going for a run or taking a long bath. Overall, this experience has taught me a lot about myself and my friendships. I've learned that sometimes you have to put your own needs first, but you also have to consider the people around you. I've learned that true friends will be there for you, even when things get tough. I'm grateful for my friends and for this opportunity to live on my own. Well, sort of. It's not always easy, but I know that I'm growing and learning every day. Thanks for reading, everyone. I'll keep you updated on how things go. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day!